What's going on, Packer fans? Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me or unfollow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Thank you so much for joining me today. Always appreciate it. I'm going to say this to you up front, but this could easily go in a million different directions, and I could talk for probably another hour on the topic, but I don't want to spend a ton of time on the entire Rodgers mess. And maybe that's a cop-out. Maybe you're thanking me and saying, good, I'm sick of it already. I think that's probably where most people are at because it's, of course, a very divisive issue. And I think everyone probably got their fill of that divisiveness on Friday. So my main topic today is going to be finally my defense or my offensive grades, from last week, which now seems like a millennia ago. I can barely hold in my laughter. It's been a crazy week. I went to Michigan over the weekend last weekend, and then this week just kind of got away. So I'm a little bit behind this week. And of course, there have been a few key topics that we've had to get through throughout the course of this week as well. So I'll get to those grades in just a moment. But there is one piece that I do want to discuss about the Rodgers situation and talking with Pat McAfee. If you're not familiar with where I stand on the topic, I think you can go out on Twitter and find it rather easily, and you'll probably be able to tell in just a second here. But I want to start by saying, and I'm not going to both sides this in any way, shape, or form, but Aaron Rodgers has done a ton of insanely good things for the community of Green Bay for, when he's had the fires back home in California, the pandemic, although I think we can very much question his partnership with who he was partnering with during the time where he was helping out small businesses. Still, the idea, great. He's done so many really amazing things. He's been supportive of the Wisconsin community, all those sort of things. And that doesn't change, right? I also think, I'll just say a story. Like back in, I think it was 2018, 2019, there was a benefit for childhood cancer in Green Bay. And I was randomly invited through my work at the time. It was a last minute invitation, and I got to go. And for anyone that would have seen Aaron that night and how he interacted with these kids and how it wasn't philanthropy for the sake of looking good. There was stuff that he was doing to the side that I was kind of keeping an eye on because of how closely I cover Aaron and the Packers that wouldn't have been noticed otherwise, and how he genuinely cared and did all those sort of things. It was honestly something I'll never forget. It was amazing. You could tell how much it meant to these children who were battling childhood cancer. The things that he did to help raise money for it and support it was incredible. And he's got a variety of that on his record. So I am in no way, shape, or form going into Friday looking to cancel Aaron Rodgers or be part of the woke mob or whatever else anyone wants to call it. But it was a frustrating interview with Pat McAfee, to say the least, and disappointing, dangerous. There's other words that could certainly be used as well. But the one piece that I want to get to there that I think is that I just want to cover, because a lot of people reaching out on Twitter are saying he was allergic to the vaccine. What do you want him to do? Take a vaccine that he's allergic to? Absolutely not. Unequivocally not. And here's the thing. As I'm going through this, remember, I am a Packer fan. I got the Packers shirt on here. Like, I've got Bart Starr behind me. I am a Packer fan. I have grown up a Packer fan. I have season tickets. I am so crazed as a Packer fan that I started a 365-day-a-year audio and video podcast right about the Packers, all in my spare time, by the way. I still have a full-time day job, 5 days a week, 50 hours a week, whatever you want to call it. This is my side thing, all right? So I am a huge Packer fan. And I am hoping as I go into this, and people were asking me because sort of some of my comments in regards to the vaccinations. Why aren't you blasting Aaron Rodgers? I said, I would love to hear from Aaron Rodgers. I mentioned this, I think, the other day on here. I would love to hear from him first. And I've sort of learned from mistakes that I've made in the past by maybe jumping to conclusions when I shouldn't. So I was very much looking forward to hearing from Aaron Rodgers and hearing what he had to say, because he is always so calculated and genuinely, usually thoughtful in what he says. And when he started by saying, the first thing is, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, and I was allergic to Moderna and Pfizer. I was so excited. A part of me was just relieved. Okay, he has legitimate medical reasons that he cannot take the vaccine, and we're good. And here's the main thing I want to say here. If Aaron would have said, it came out and said, went on McAfee and said, I couldn't take the Moderna, I couldn't take the Pfizer because I was allergic to something in both of those, and literally the FDA's and CDC saying that that's not best for me to take. The only option left for me was Johnson & Johnson. I had two close family or friends that reacted negatively to Johnson & Johnson, which is what he said. I'm not saying that, that's what he said. And I had some concern with the Johnson & Johnson based off of some of the research that I was doing. I didn't feel comfortable with taking that specific vaccine. And in an effort to protect my teammates and protect myself against a virus that is very real and very deadly, I went out and I tried to find any other methods that I could possibly find to protect myself, because the two main ones I had allergies to. The third one I had some serious questions on. I had some reservations with that. And I wanted to do everything I could to protect my team. As far as the interview goes, I probably should have been a little bit more transparent with my situation rather than maybe, not giving full details. Wish I would have maybe done that. But my goal here is to protect my teammates, protect myself against a virus that's still very deadly. If he ends everything there, I get it. I would have vehemently disagreed still with not potentially doing Johnson & Johnson based off of the data that's out there. But everything would have mostly, basically I would have been relieved. As a Packer fan, as an Aaron Rodgers fan, I would have been, all right, I don't fully agree with all of your logic path here, but I can understand. I can understand you were allergic to the two. So no, I was not looking for him to take, and that's why I said going, with Alan Lazard. I don't know Alan Lazard's situation. Why has nobody been upset with Alan Lazard? Because we don't know Alan Lazard's situation until he speaks on it, or maybe he doesn't. I can't speak to what Alan Lazard did. So maybe he was allergic to 3 of them. I simply don't know. So I'm certainly not going to put Alan Lazard on blast, nor do I hope to have any of those even feelings or anything. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. I was hoping that we were going to get a logical conclusion, and we just didn't. And it started off in a fairly normal space. I think the thing that was so surprising is like I said, he's always so calculated and so thoughtful in how he parses every single word. And in this situation, he's shuffling around papers and going through stats. And we went from, I was allergic to 2 and I'm not an anti-vaxxer, to Joe Rogan and ivermectin by the end of the thing. It was, as I said, disappointing, frustrating. And again, I know everyone feels very differently on this topic. I wish they didn't, because this is a very serious pandemic that I wish everyone was on the same page on, and we're clearly not. And that's clearly a problem. So I'm going to leave it at that, because again, I know I already talked 8 minutes about it, and I was hoping to talk about 2 minutes on it, but I did want to very much clarify the fact that no, I was not looking, or nobody was looking for him to take anything that he was allergic to. And I think if it would have stayed in that realm rather than gone off into a full pseudoscience tirade and basically getting into very serious misinformation, anti-vax category, these are 2 totally different conversations. The second part was where things got super disappointing, at least for me. Feel free to unfollow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL if you feel differently. Let's get into grades today. Top 3 grades from Packers Cardinals going back to last week. Number 1, and this is offense. I did defense way earlier in the week, so you can go back and listen to that if you would like. A.J. Dillon, number 1 on the list. Super impressed with how A.J. bounced back 2 weeks ago. Remember, he had the 2 fumbles, lost one of them, didn't get much opportunity, struggled in that game to get anything going. In this game, he bounces back. There was nobody, I'm sure, that was happier that this game was on a short week than A.J. Dillon. Ran hard, ran physical, ran right over a safety, showed off his elusiveness, and then that 4th down play where there was just really no opportunity for him to pick up the 1st down and still found a way to get it. Just a really impressive performance from A.J. Dillon, and easily, to me, the best performance this week for Green Bay. Number 2 was Randall Cobb. Cobb didn't have a great overall game, if you will. Didn't have a lot of opportunity down the field, or some really in the intermediate game, or really in between the 20s, if you will. But came up with 2 huge touchdown passes in a game where points, I don't think we could say points were at a premium, but this was certainly far from a high-scoring game, and without those 2 touchdowns, Green Bay doesn't win the game. So those 2 touchdowns, especially the jump ball that he basically went up and won, was huge, and then his ability to get open. It was a well-schemed play, and there was a missed assignment by the Cardinals on that play, but to still get open, catch that where Rodgers actually threw that more up and almost in like a jump ball situation than he should have. If he just kind of throws it ahead of Cobb, it's an easier play. So I thought Cobb came up big in those 2 touchdown passes, which is why he was number 2 on my list this week. And then number 3 was Mercedes Lewis. When you block as well as Lewis does, and we talked about this yesterday with Mike Wall, you're going to end up with a positive grade more often than not. Now, he's not, of course, the most dynamic player in the passing game. There's certainly some things that he still, he's just not going to be able to do at this stage of his career. It doesn't matter. He's so integral into what Green Bay does as a pass blocker, as a run blocker. It was just another really positive grade from him in this game and in this week, and he continues to have a very impressive season. On the flip side, my lowest graded player this week was Juwann Winfree. Had a couple plays. He had the play where he got caught, kind of short of the first down. There was the play where he had the drop right before halftime where he was trying to get out of bounds, and Rodgers was kind of upset with him on that play. And then, of course, there's the play where he catches the ball in the quick, smoke screen to the side. And then the defender basically misses him, and he should be gone for a touchdown. Instead, puts the ball on the ground, kicks it out of bounds. Thankfully, doesn't lose it. But just some plays that, Winfree showed off his inexperience a little bit, struggled to get separation through other times of the game. So easily my lowest graded player in this game was Juwann Winfree. Number 2 was Josiah DeGuara. DeGuara did some nice things in this game. There were a couple decent blocks, had the nice reception on like the tight end screen and some things like that. But I didn't think he always got the yards that maybe he could have when he did catch the ball. There were some blocks that he missed. Mercedes Lewis and Josiah DeGuara were PFF and I have actually been pretty close on the majority of our grades this year. And especially this week, Lewis and DeGuara were very much flipped for both of us. They actually really liked DeGuara this week and did not like Lewis. I really like Lewis and didn't like DeGuara. So go back and watch for yourself if you'd like and let me know which one of us is right. Answer is usually probably somewhere in the middle. But I didn't love DeGuara this week, although I did think he put some positives on tape that can be useful for him moving forward. And then last but not least was Jon Runyon, which was interesting. And this has sort of been classic Runyon this year, where I think Runyon actually is one of their most consistent offensive linemen, save for like 2 or 3 bigger lapses over the course of the game. So that was exactly what happened in this game again, where like there was a stretch where like every play I was giving positives to Runyon. I'm like, man, he's crushing it. And then there'd be like one big negative, and it'd be like, that's frustrating. All right, one big negative. Then it'd be like a string of positives, and then be like another huge negative, and then a string of positives, and another huge negative. And you calculate everything up through the course of the game, and you're thinking of like, all right, there's like 15 positives here and only 3 negatives. He must have had a really good game, but the negatives were so egregious and the positives were just more like, solid to good plays. Nothing like, it's not like he's pancaking somebody off the screen or anything. So it ends up being a negative grade. But I still think Jon Runyon is having a really nice season and has been a pretty consistent player. He just has to clean up those 2 or 3 plays every game where he just gets kind of completely beat really clean, and it hasn't affected Green Bay much, like where they've just been running to the other side or whatever. Somebody's been able to kind of pick up the slack for him, but it's definitely something that he needs to clean up, because if he can get that cleaned up, and if he didn't have a couple of those negative plays here and there, I'm 99.9% certain he would have been my highest graded player, offensive lineman, through the season thus far. He's really, really close to being a really, really good offensive lineman. He's already been solid, and actually my second highest rated offensive lineman this year, besides Elton Jenkins. But man, if he could just eliminate some of those, head scratching plays where it's just a quick bust, that would be nice, and you would see much higher grades for Jon Runyon Jr. But again, he's really close, and I'm really excited about his play as a sophomore for the Packers overall. So we'll see if he can kind of continue to improve and kind of clean some of that up moving forward. That's going to do it for me today. Oh, by the way, good news. Davante Adams back. He's going to play this week, which is amazing. And I think everyone could use a little bit of good news. Of course, Jordan Love is going to use every piece of help that he can get this week in his first start. So Davante Adams being back, amazing. And again, everyone could use a little bit of good news after this crazy, crazy, crazy week. I fully recognize that we all may not be 1,000,000% on the same page, but we all love the Packers, and the Packers are playing really good football. It's going to be exciting to watch Jordan Love play this week. And I think at a time where everything is so divisive, and I know we talked about a divisive topic at the beginning of this, I couldn't really not touch base on it based off of how Friday went, but I think if we can focus I still believe overall we all have more similarities than we have differences. And I hope we can still be Packer fans together and rally together and hopefully as a community, as a people, find more common ground than divisive ground, because Lord knows we could all use it at this point. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate you. I'll be right back here tomorrow for a pregame show, so make sure to check that out. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.